Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Kellen here with Droid Life. So I've got in front of me Pixel, Pixel XL, and Pixel 2 XL. Now I've got these in front of me because, well, Android 8.1 dropped this week as a developer preview. So we've got it running on Pixel 2 XL, Pixel XL, not on the Pixel, because we want to show you some of the differences. And there are some differences. While if you've had a Pixel 2 for a while, none of this stuff's really going to look all that new. Well, there is some slight tweaks. But if you're coming from a Pixel to 8.1, you kind of get that Pixel 2 experience. And so we want to show you what's new, including a shiny new real Easter egg. So anyway, let's dive into this. This is what's new in Android 8.1. So diving in here, I'm just going to grab the regular Pixel XL. This is running 8.1, and this is where most of the changes are going to show through. Again, from people coming from a Pixel and getting the 8.1 upgrade. Most of this stuff really is already on the Pixel 2. So if you get a new Pixel 2, you're going to see a lot of this stuff anyway. So the first thing I guess I would show you is if we just dive into settings here and scroll all the way down, we actually do have a new Easter egg. Oops, not system update. So if we jump into about, you'll see there that is definitely 8.1, and we have October security patch. But if we want to dive into the Easter egg, look at that. It's an actual Android Oreo. So it used to be that orange multi-layered O icon with the white dot in the middle. Now it's actually an Android Oreo. Of course, if we get further in there, you still have the octopus, and you can grab his head and swipe him all over if you want. But yeah, we do have an Oreo now. So anyway, let's jump back to the front. So this new launcher experience, it should be pretty obvious what's new. The search bar is now down here at the bottom. And then you also have that new widget from the Pixel 2, which shows upcoming calendar items and then your weather. So that just kind of populates automatically. You can't actually long press on that, and there are some preferences in there. So you can have it do calendar events and show traffic information. That's pretty much it. The weather should happen automatically, just so you know. In terms of the rest of this experience, so if we swipe up now, we now have a transparent app drawer. I believe this was transparent on the Pixel 2 previously, but it's now on here as well. The other thing then is if we swipe this down, this is also transparent in the quick settings area. Now, I don't believe this was transparent on the Pixel 2 previously before 8.1, but either way, it is now for sure. So you've got some transparency. I don't know that I really love that look, but I guess it does let you kind of see what's still going on behind you. While we're in here, though, you'll notice I am connected to a Bluetooth device. So if we open up the Bluetooth menu, this is a new feature, and that is a battery percentage for whatever you're connected to. So I'm connected to a pair of headphones that are just sitting off to the left, and it shows that I have 90% battery left. So that will happen going forward when you're connected to Bluetooth devices, which is actually kind of a cool little setting. If you swipe over here, your feed is still there. I don't even want to call that Google Now anymore. It's just the Google feed, and I think that's what Google's calling it, but that's still over there. So that hasn't really changed. But one thing that has changed is you kind of have that access to themes that we showed you with the Pixel 2. So when you change wallpapers, it'll go from dark to light in the app drawer, in the notification shade, and then also in your folders. A lot of that stuff just goes dark depending on wallpaper. So this is a light enough wallpaper that everything's kind of white. But if I go in and we find something dark, I believe there's some dark ones in here. So if I switch to this wallpaper and go ahead and set that, and we'll just set it to both. And if we swipe up now, it's now at least either more transparent or at least a dark transparency. So it matches that. And if we swipe this down, this is definitely a dark now. Quick tile shade. So your notifications still stay light, but this goes dark up here and it just sort of blends in better. And also your app folders become dark as well. So that was a Pixel 2 feature. It is now on the Pixel. All right, so if we jump into settings, show you some new stuff in here. This layout has just changed a little bit in the fact that there is now a persistent search bar up at the top. So I can actually show you if we jump onto this device, which is still running 8.0, it just says settings up there, and then over there there's a search button, whereas now it says search settings, and you can just tap in there and search for things. And you can see that top area has changed as well. So do not disturb. It's no longer a giant blue bar. It's kind of just a more subtle embedded option there. And then there's also some suggestions. You can see how that looks. One thing I would point out is in apps and notifications. So this was on the Pixel 2, and we showed you this a while ago, but this is one of my favorite new tweaks to the settings. When you go into apps and notifications, it now shows you the most recently opened apps. Now, I love this because often when you're in an app and you decide, well, I need to clear data on it, stop it, whatever you need to do to it, it's obviously when you've just been in. And so when you go into apps and settings or apps and notifications, do that, it should be right at the top. And now with this new change, it should be. And you can see over here, it's not there at all. If we continue scrolling though, Display, now this is some stuff that didn't carry over, so you're not going to have always on display now. It's still just ambient, and you can double tap to check it or lift to wake it, but it is not an always on display like it is on the Pixel 2. Also, if we jump into sounds and scroll all the way to the bottom where the now playing option is on the Pixel 2, which is the now playing feature that listens for music playing in the background, that also didn't make it over. So those obviously are just Pixel 2 exclusive features. But if we keep scrolling now into system, this is where you'll see another change here. So previously there was a section called moves, and it was embedded in this languages and input thing. I mean, really, really embedded. So moves were swiping on the fingerprint reader to look at your notifications, double tapping on power to jump into the camera. You remember what moves are. Well, now I'm actually going to set this down. It's a feature or a section called gestures. And so I don't believe there's any new gestures added with 8.1, but it is its own section now, and it is called gestures. You no longer really have to search for it. It's been pulled out as its own section. All right, so one other thing you'll notice in here is the Nav Bar. So the Nav Bar at the bottom on 8.0 has always been black in settings. Now it is white. And so we believe this is part of Google's move to combat screen burn-in, since there was reports of that happening on the Pixel 2 XL. Now they've gone to white, and they said they're going to lighten that up everywhere. Now they've also introduced something in 8.1 that is a navigation bar fade out. And this is also, again, to combat burn-in. So I'll show you. You can see right now it's actually already faded out. But if I jump into like this section and I tap this, I tap back, you'll see it lights back up, and those buttons are now dark. If you give them a second, see that little shift, they then fade back out. So I'll show you that again. They're dark, and then you give it a second, period of inactivity is what Google calls it, and now they are faded to a lighter gray. So this hopefully will help combat that whole burn-in thing. All right, so lastly, and I think this is pretty much it. So we've gone over all that stuff. Again, most of this stuff is really, really minor. And on the Pixel 2, a lot of this transparency and stuff is carried over, as well as the dimming. But for the most part, that's kind of it. Oh, one other thing I didn't really show you is this search bar. You'll see I have a white G icon. Depending on your wallpaper, that will change from a white to a dark G, or you may even get the full colored G. Now, if we swipe up, actually, it didn't carry over in this version. But if you swipe up on the Pixel 2 XL, same thing, but it goes from white to dark or color. But if you swipe up in here, that bubble search area actually stays, and you get the full colored G, whereas on the older Pixels, that just says search apps up there. So that little tweak didn't come over, but that G will change depending on your wallpaper, just something else to keep in mind. But finally though, I would just point out that the power menu has now changed. So if we long press power on both of these, there is your change. You had that pop up previously. Now you actually have a little pop out menu, and I'm going to go ahead and change wallpaper so we can really get a look at this. So we'll just go with something like that. Looks light enough. Okay, so if we long press there, power pops out, you have power or restart, and it kind of makes sense. It kind of just floats out from the button because then your thumb's already there and you can tap one of those. So one thing I would show you then is some of these subtle UI tweaks. Like if we go ahead and restart both of these, see how that UI, it's now restarting with the spinning logo, whereas here it was the power off and that white box. These are just sort of cleanup, polish items that Google has done to make Android just look a little bit better over the years. And then as we power back on, I believe some of this has changed. I thought it did the last time I rebooted, but possibly not. Well, you get the spin into the G logo, whereas over here, I believe you get the bouncing dots. Yeah. So that has changed a little bit. Reboot times, obviously, in Android 8.0 are obviously really fast. And that is pretty much it. My headphones are over there talking to me now since I disconnected. So that's it, though. As far as the major new stuff, and I don't know that any of that is necessarily major, but that's what's new in Android 8.1. If we find new stuff, we will be sure to let you know. Otherwise, we're Droid Life. Peace.